The city's pulse was a relentless drumbeat, a cacophony of horns, hurried footsteps, and the distant metallic screech of the elevated train. Yet stepping across the threshold of Ebony Brews was like entering a hushed sanctuary. The glass. Doors framed in dark polished wood seemed to mute the urban clamor instantly. Inside, the air was thick with the intoxicating aroma of roasted coffee beans, a rich, grounding scent that spoke of faraway lands and meticulous craftsmanship. Soft jazz, barely audible but pervasive, drifted from hidden speakers, weaving a tapestry of tranquility around the space. Sunlight, filtered through sheer cream-colored curtains, painted warm stripes across the polished wooden floor, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air like tiny golden spirits. Ebony Brews was a study in contrasts. Towering skyscrapers, symbols of modernity and ambition, formed its backdrop, visible through the large front windows. Yet, within its walls, time seemed to slow. Comfortable armchairs upholstered in deep jewel tones, emerald, sapphire, ruby, were scattered amongst smaller bistro-style tables. Bookshelves reaching towards the high ceiling were crammed with an eclectic mix of titles, from weighty philosophical tomes to light-hearted novels, each whispering invitations to escape and linger. The walls, painted a warm, earthy ochre, were adorned with framed black and white photographs depicting coffee plantations in Ethiopia, Colombia, and Vietnam, each image telling a silent story of origin and journey. Behind the long, elegantly curved counter stood Clara. Her presence was as integral to the ambiance of Ebony Brews as the aroma of coffee itself. She moved with a quiet grace, her dark skin luminous in the soft light. Her salt and pepper hair was neatly styled, framing a face that held a gentle wisdom, etched with the subtle lines of experience and a lifetime of stories untold. Her uniform, a simple but impeccably tailored black dress with a crisp white apron, spoke of professionalism and understated elegance. She wasn't just a barista. She was a silent guardian of this tranquil space, a conductor of its serene symphony. As patrons trickled in, a businessman in a sharply tailored suit, a young artist with paint-splattered jeans, a pair of students huddled over textbooks, Clara greeted each with a genuine smile and a warmth that transcended mere customer service. She remembered names, preferred orders, and even snippets of previous conversations, making each individual feel seen and valued. She poured a perfect espresso for the businessman, offered a cheerful greeting in Spanish to the artist, and quietly refilled the students' water glasses without interrupting their studies. Ebony Brews wasn't just a coffee shop. It was a community, subtly woven together by Clara's quiet, attentive presence. It was an oasis, breathing life and calm into the frantic heart of the city, and Clara was its soul. Even in these first moments, a discerning observer might sense that there was more to Clara than met the eye, a depth and quiet strength that resonated within the very walls of Ebony Brews.
The morning rush intensified, the gentle hum of conversation rising to a lively buzz. The espresso machine hissed and whirred, the grinder churned beans, and the air grew even richer with the blended fragrances of different roasts. Clara moved, with practiced efficiency, her hands a blur of motion as she steamed milk, pulled shots, and crafted intricate latte art, delicate ferns, swirling hearts, and even miniature portraits in foam. Despite the growing crowd, she maintained her calm demeanor, her smile unwavering, her service impeccable. But beneath the surface of the bustling cafe, subtle currents of bias flowed, unnoticed by many, yet keenly felt by Clara. A well-dressed woman, impatiently tapping manicured nails on the counter, snapped her order. Just a latte, regular. And make it snappy, I'm late for a meeting. She barely made eye contact with Clara, her gaze sweeping over her as if she were an inanimate fixture of the shop. When Clara presented the latte, adorned with a flawless rosetta, the woman snatched it without a word of thanks, her focus already shifting to her phone. Later, a group of men in casual business attire entered, their voices booming with self-importance. One, gesturing dismissively towards the menu board, barked, "Hey girl, what's the strongest coffee you've got? Something that'll actually wake me up." He leered at Clara, a patronizing smirk playing on his lips. Clara, maintaining her composure, replied calmly, "Our Ethiopian Yerga Chef is a very bright and invigorating brew, sir. Or perhaps you might prefer a double espresso with our dark roast blend." The man chuckled condescendingly. "Ethiopian? Fancy. Just give me the strong stuff, honey." These microaggressions, subtle but persistent, were like tiny pinpricks, a constant undercurrent in Clara's day. Patrons would often express surprise at her encyclopedic knowledge of coffee origins, her ability to recommend the perfect blend for their taste, or her fluency in Spanish when she spoke to a delivery driver from a Latin American coffee cooperative. Their surprise, thinly veiled, betrayed their preconceived notions, their unconscious biases about who she was and what she was capable of. They expected a simple server, not an expert, not someone with depth and sophistication, yet Clara never faltered. She met condescension with quiet dignity, dismissal with unwavering professionalism. She understood that these biases were often born of ignorance, of ingrained societal prejudices, not necessarily malice, and she chose to combat them, not with anger or confrontation, but with quiet grace and subtle education. With each perfectly crafted cup, with each knowledgeable recommendation, with each warm, genuine interaction, she chipped away at these biases, one patron at a time. Her resilience was a silent strength, a quiet rebellion against the insidious whispers of prejudice, transforming Ebony Brews into not just a coffee shop, but a small everyday battleground for hearts and minds. The midday lull offered a brief respite from the morning rush. The cafe was still comfortably full, but the frantic energy had subsided, replaced by a more relaxed atmosphere. The elderly storyteller, Mr. Henderson, a regular fixture at Ebony Brews, held court at his usual corner table. He was a man of silver hair and twinkling blue eyes, his face a roadmap of wrinkles etched by time, and countless stories lived and told. He was entertaining a small group, a young couple, and a lone woman engrossed in a book. With one of his elaborate anecdotes, his voice a warm, resonant rumble that filled the corner. And so there I was, stranded in the middle of Marrakesh, with nothing but a phrase book and a pocket full of dirhams. Mr. Henderson chuckled, his listeners captivated. He paused, taking a slow sip of his cappuccino, a cappuccino Clara had personally prepared, knowing his preference for extra foam and a dusting of cinnamon. His gaze then drifted towards Clara, who was restocking pastries behind the counter, her movements precise and efficient. "You know," Mr. Henderson said, his voice softening, drawing the attention of his small audience to Clara. "This place wouldn't be the same without Clara's touch." He gestured around the cafe with a sweeping hand, encompassing the warm lighting, the comforting aroma, the overall ambiance of serenity. "It's more than just the coffee, you see. It's the spirit she brings. Her presence is the true essence of Ebony Brews." The young couple nodded in agreement. The woman with the book looked up, her eyes focusing on Clara with a newfound appreciation. One of the young men in the group, emboldened by Mr. Henderson's observation, chuckled and added, "Yeah, she's practically part of the furniture here. Maybe she owns this place with how passionate she is about her job." The group laughed, a light-hearted, innocent chuckle, unaware of how close to the truth their jest was. Mr. Henderson smiled knowingly, a hint of something deeper in his eyes. He had observed Clara for years, seen the quiet authority in her demeanor, the subtle way she managed the cafe, the almost proprietary care she took in every detail. He suspected there was more to her story than met the eye, a secret hidden beneath the surface of her barista's apron. The others, however, simply laughed it off, returning to Mr. Henderson's tales and their own conversations, the casual joke about ownership fading into the background noise of the cafe. But Mr. Henderson's words lingered in the air, a subtle shift in perception, a seed of recognition planted in the minds of those who had heard them, a quiet acknowledgement of Clara's undeniable impact on the soul of Ebony Brews. The afternoon sun streamed through the windows, casting long shadows across the cafe floor. The lunchtime rush had subsided, leaving a gentle hum of conversation and the clinking of ceramic cups. Clara was wiping down tables, her movements methodical and calming. The young woman who had been listening to Mr. Henderson's stories earlier approached the counter, a thoughtful expression on her face. She was an artist, judging by the sketchbook peeking out of her tote bag, with bright, inquisitive eyes and a vibrant energy. "Excuse me," she said to Clara, her voice soft but clear. "I was just sitting with Mr. Henderson, and he was saying such lovely things about you in this place. It really is wonderful here." Clara smiled warmly, pausing her cleaning. "Thank you. We try to make it a welcoming space." The young woman hesitated for a moment, then her curiosity got the better of her. "Actually," she continued, "I was just wondering, do you know who the owner is by any chance? Mr. Henderson joked that maybe you were, because you seem so invested in everything." She laughed lightly, a touch of nervousness in her voice, unsure if she was overstepping a boundary. Clara's smile deepened, a hint of amusement flickering in her eyes. She leaned slightly closer to the counter, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I might have an idea," she replied, her tone enigmatic. She held the young woman's gaze for a moment, letting the words hang in the air, a playful mystery unfolding between them. Then she straightened up, her smile returning to its usual warmth. "Can I get you anything else? Perhaps a slice of our new lemon poppy seed cake?" The young woman, momentarily taken aback by Clara's intriguing response, blinked. "Oh, no, thank you, just the coffee was perfect." She was clearly intrigued, her initial question unanswered, replaced by a burgeoning curiosity about Clara herself. She sensed there was a story there, something hidden beneath the surface of the unassuming barista. Clara's ambiguous answer hung in the air, a subtle shift in the atmosphere of the cafe. The young woman returned to her table, her mind buzzing with questions. She glanced at Clara from time to time, trying to decipher the meaning behind her words, her gentle smile, her air of quiet confidence. The mystery of the owner of Ebony Brews, once a trivial question, now felt imbued with a deeper significance, centered around the enigmatic figure of Clara. The seed of curiosity had been planted, and it had begun to sprout, subtly altering the way patrons perceived Clara and the very essence of Ebony Brews. Years ago, the space that now housed Ebony Brews was a forgotten corner in a neglected building. Dust motes danced in the dim light filtering through grimy windows, revealing peeling paint and a pervasive sense of abandonment. Clara, then in her late 20s, stood amidst the debris, her heart pounding with a mixture of trepidation and exhilarating hope. This dilapidated space, overlooked and unwanted, was the canvas for her dream. The dream had begun innocently enough, fueled by a lifelong love affair with coffee. Growing up in a small town, the aroma of her grandmother's morning brew, a rich, dark roast percolated on the stovetop, was her earliest and most comforting memory. Later, travels to Ethiopia, the birthplace of coffee, ignited a passion that went beyond mere enjoyment. She was captivated by the intricate rituals surrounding coffee cultivation, the dedication of the farmers, the subtle nuances of each bean, the stories whispered in every cup. She had worked in corporate finance after college, a world of sharp suits and sharper elbows, of relentless ambition and soul-numbing spreadsheets. It was a world that provided financial security, but starved her spirit. The yearning for something more authentic, something more meaningful, grew with each passing year. And then the dream of Ebony Brews took root. It wasn't just about serving coffee, it was about creating a space, an experience, a sanctuary where people could find solace amidst the urban chaos, where conversations could blossom, where community could be nurtured. She envisioned a place that celebrated the rich tapestry of coffee culture, showcasing beans from around the world, telling their stories, educating palates, and fostering appreciation for the artistry behind every cup. Leaving her secure corporate job was a leap of faith, a plunge into the unknown. Savings dwindled quickly as she navigated the labyrinthine process of permits, renovations, and sourcing equipment. There were moments of despair, nights filled with doubt, days where the mountain of challenges seemed insurmountable. But the dream fueled by her unwavering passion and a quiet resilience honed by years of navigating a world often indifferent, kept her going. She learned to plumb, to paint, to negotiate with contractors, to brew the perfect espresso, to manage finances. With razor-thin margins, she poured her heart and soul, every ounce of her energy, into transforming the forgotten space into the warm, inviting haven that would become Ebony Brews. She chose the name carefully, Ebony, reflecting the rich darkness of the coffee bean, but also a subtle nod to her own heritage, a quiet affirmation of her identity in a world that often overlooked or underestimated her. The brews was simple, direct, and inviting. Standing in the dusty shell of the future cafe years ago, Clara had seen not the grime and decay, but the potential, the promise of a dream taking shape. She had seen the faces of future patrons, the laughter, the quiet moments of contemplation, the connections forged over steaming cups of coffee. And that vision, that unwavering belief in the power of her dream, had given her the strength to begin, to persevere, and ultimately, to create the oasis that was now Ebony Brews. The biases she faced daily were a shadow, a contrast to the vibrant reality she had built, a testament to her quiet strength and unwavering vision. A few weeks after the young woman's inquisitive question, small, elegantly designed posters appeared in Ebony Brews, announcing its 5th anniversary celebration. 5 years of brewing community, the posters proclaimed, adorned with a stylized coffee bean motif and the date of the upcoming event. A buzz of excitement rippled through the cafe. Regulars chatted about it, speculating about what Clara might have planned. The anniversary felt like a milestone, not just for the cafe, but for the community it had fostered. Clara watched the patrons' reactions with a quiet satisfaction. The posters were her subtle way of preparing them, of setting the stage for a revelation she had been contemplating for some time. The young woman's question, Mr. Henderson's kind words, and the ongoing subtle biases she encountered had coalesced into a realization. It was time. Time to unveil the mystery, to step out from behind the counter and into the full light of ownership. She had initially chosen to remain in the background, content to let Ebony Brews speak for itself. She wanted the cafe to be judged on its merits, on the quality of its coffee, the warmth of its atmosphere, not on preconceived notions about its owner. But the persistent microaggressions, the constant underestimation, had begun to feel like a silent burden. It was time to reclaim her narrative, to own her story fully, and to perhaps in doing so, challenge the very biases she encountered. The anniversary celebration seemed like the perfect opportunity. It was a moment of joy, of community, of shared appreciation for Ebony Brews. Revealing her ownership during this celebratory atmosphere would be a powerful statement, a subtle act of defiance against the ingrained prejudices that often clouded perceptions. She spent the days leading up to the anniversary meticulously planning. She ordered extra supplies of her finest coffee beans, arranged for live music, a local jazz trio, and curated a special menu of celebratory treats. She envisioned the evening, the warm glow of candlelight, the laughter and chatter of her patrons, the culmination of 5 years of hard work and unwavering dedication. The toast, that was the key moment. She would stand up, raise her glass, and, finally, unequivocally declare her ownership. She rehearsed the words in her mind, simple, direct, yet imbued with years of unspoken meaning. To Ebony Brews, to community, and to revealing a little secret. I am Clara, and I am the owner of this place. The words felt both liberating and slightly daunting, but she knew it was the right time, the right moment to step into her full truth, to let her light shine brightly, not just as the heart of Ebony Brews, but as its very foundation. The anniversary was not just a celebration of 5 years. It was a celebration of her journey, her resilience, and her quiet triumph over the subtle whispers of prejudice. The day of the anniversary arrived, bathed in a warm, golden light that seemed to infuse the city with a festive glow. From early morning there was a palpable buzz of excitement in Ebony Brews. Clara arrived earlier than usual, a quiet energy, radiating from her. She moved through the cafe, ensuring every detail was perfect. The tables were draped with crisp white linens, adorned with small vases of fragrant lavender. Candles in elegant glass holders were placed strategically throughout the space, ready to cast a warm, inviting glow as evening approached. The aroma of coffee was even richer than usual, a symphony of roasted beans mingling with the sweet scent of freshly baked pastries. The jazz trio arrived in the afternoon, setting up their instruments in a corner of the cafe, their mellow tunes adding to the anticipatory atmosphere. Clara had chosen their music carefully, soulful, uplifting, and subtly celebratory, mirroring the spirit of the occasion. As the afternoon wore on, regulars began to arrive, their faces alight with anticipation. They complimented Clara on the decorations, the festive atmosphere, the tantalizing aroma of the special anniversary blend she was brewing. Mr. Henderson arrived, his eyes twinkling with delight, bringing a small bouquet of wildflowers for Clara. The young artist, her sketchbook tucked under her arm, arrived with a handmade card adorned with a beautiful watercolor painting of Ebony Brews. The cafe slowly filled, the murmur of conversation growing louder, punctuated by bursts of laughter and the gentle strains of jazz music. The atmosphere was electric, a palpable sense of community and shared joy filling the space. Clara moved through the crowd, greeting patrons, ensuring everyone felt welcomed and comfortable. She was a gracious host, her warmth and genuine smile radiating throughout the cafe. But beneath the surface of the festive cheer, a subtle undercurrent of anticipation swirled. The mystery of Clara's cryptic, "I might have an idea," hung in the air, unspoken but present in the collective consciousness of the patrons. They sensed something more than just a simple anniversary celebration was brewing. There was a feeling of expectation, a quiet curiosity about what Clara might reveal, a sense that this evening held a deeper significance, a moment of unveiling waiting to unfold. The anticipation was a silent hum, a gentle vibration that resonated within the walls of Ebony Brews, building towards the moment when Clara would finally step into the spotlight and share her truth. As dusk painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold, Ebony Brews transformed into a vibrant, celebratory space. Candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the ochre walls, creating a warm, intimate ambiance. The jazz trio played softly in the background, their music weaving through the lively chatter of patrons. The cafe was abuzz with conversation, laughter, and the clinking of glasses as people mingled, celebrating the anniversary and the unique community that Ebony Brews had cultivated. Patrons, dressed in everything from casual chic to slightly more formal attire, circulated through the cafe, sampling the anniversary treats, miniature quiches, delicate pastries, and of course, the special anniversary coffee blend, a rich, complex roast with notes of dark chocolate and cherry. The atmosphere was convivial, relaxed, and genuinely joyful. It felt like a gathering of friends, a celebration of shared space and shared experiences. Even amidst the festivities, subtle interactions revealed the undercurrent of ingrained biases that Clara navigated daily. A new patron, a sharply dressed businessman who had never visited Ebony Brews before, approached Clara at the counter, his tone slightly dismissive. "So, who's running the show here tonight? Is the owner around?" he asked, his gaze sweeping past Clara as if she were merely a server. Clara, maintaining her composure, smiled serenely. "You are speaking with her," she replied calmly, her voice even and clear. The businessman blinked, a flicker of surprise crossing his face, quickly replaced by a slightly embarrassed smile. "Oh, forgive me, I just assumed," he stammered, his assumptions laid bare in his hesitant words. The young artist, witnessing the exchange, subtly shook her head, a silent acknowledgement of the ingrained biases that even such a celebratory occasion couldn't entirely erase. But moments like these were quickly overshadowed by the overall festive atmosphere. The majority of patrons were genuinely appreciative, their interactions with Clara warm and respectful, their presence a testament to the community she had built. Mr. Henderson, holding court as usual, raised his glass to Clara, his voice booming above the music. "To Clara, the heart and soul of Ebony Brews." A chorus of cheers echoed through the cafe, glasses clinking in a celebratory toast. Clara, touched by the outpouring of affection, raised her own glass, her eyes sparkling with warmth and gratitude. The evening was a testament to her vision, her hard work, and the undeniable impact she had had on the lives of so many who found solace and community within the walls of Ebony Brews. The anticipation for her toast, for the unveiling of her idea, hung in the air, a gentle hum beneath the jubilant melodies and convivial chatter, promising a moment of revelation yet to come. As the evening deepened, the energy in Ebony Brews reached a gentle crescendo. The jazz trio paused their set, the music fading into a soft, lingering chord, creating a brief hush in the room. The conversation softened, the laughter subsided, as if an unspoken signal had passed through the crowd. Eyes turned towards Clara, who stood near the counter, a glass of sparkling cider in her hand, a gentle smile gracing her lips. The moment had arrived. A subtle shift in the atmosphere occurred. The festive cheer didn't dissipate, but it was tempered by a sense of anticipation, a quiet expectancy. The patrons instinctively knew that Clara was about to say something significant, that the mystery she had hinted at was about to be unveiled. The air crackled with unspoken questions, with a collective curiosity that had been building since the anniversary posters first appeared. Clara took a slow, deliberate breath, her gaze sweeping over the faces in the room. She saw familiar faces, faces that had become part of the fabric of Ebony Brews over the past 5 years. She saw Mr. Henderson, his eyes twinkling with knowing anticipation. She saw the young artist, her bright gaze fixed on Clara with unwavering attention. She saw the businessman, now looking slightly sheepish but genuinely curious. She saw a community, a tapestry woven together by shared moments, shared coffee, and shared humanity. A hush fell over the cafe, a respectful silence that spoke volumes about the affection and regard these patrons held for Clara. The only sound was the gentle crackle of candlelight and the soft hum of the espresso machine, now momentarily silent. All eyes were on Clara, waiting, anticipating, sensing that this was more than just a toast, that this was a moment of revelation, a moment of truth about to be spoken into the warm, inviting space of Ebony Brews. The pause was pregnant with meaning, a breath held before the exhale, a moment of quiet before the unfolding of a long-held secret. Clara raised her glass, the candlelight glinting off the rim. Her voice when she spoke was clear and resonant, filling the hushed cafe with a gentle authority. "Friends, neighbors, cherished patrons of Ebony Brews," she began, her gaze encompassing everyone in the room. "Tonight we celebrate 5 years. 5 years of laughter, conversations, connections, and of course, incredible coffee." A warm smile touched her lips, drawing a soft murmur of agreement from the crowd. She paused for a moment, letting the words sink in, then continued, her voice taking on a slightly more intimate tone. "Over these 5 years, Ebony Brews has become more than just a coffee shop. It's become a community, a place where we can find a moment of peace amidst the city's chaos, where we can connect with each other, and where, hopefully, we can learn and grow together." Another pause, longer this time drawing out the suspense. The patrons leaned forward, their anticipation palpable. Clara took another breath, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of nervousness and quiet excitement. "Many of you have asked, in jest or in genuine curiosity, about the owner of Ebony Brews," she said, a playful smile flickering across her face. "You've wondered who is behind this oasis we've created together." She took a final decisive breath, her gaze unwavering, her voice ringing with clarity and quiet pride. "Well," she declared, her words echoing through the silent cafe, "tonight I want to share a little secret with you all, a secret that perhaps some of you have already suspected." She paused for dramatic effect, then with a gentle, yet firm resolve, she uttered the words that had been years in the making. "I am Clara, and I am the owner of Ebony Brews." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Silence hung heavy for a beat, then erupted into a chorus of surprised exclamations, murmurs of disbelief and gasps of realization. Faces registered shock, astonishment, and a dawning understanding. The young artist's jaw dropped, her eyes widening in amazement. Mr. Henderson beamed, a knowing smile spreading across his face, as if his long-held suspicion had been confirmed. The businessman, who had asked about the owner just moments before, stared at Clara, his face flushed with a mixture of embarrassment and profound realization. The truth, finally unveiled, hung in the air, electrifying the atmosphere of Ebony Brews, transforming the celebratory evening into a moment of profound revelation and a turning point in the perception of Clara and the beloved cafe she had created. The immediate aftermath of Clara's revelation was a wave of palpable emotion washing over Ebony Brews. The initial shock quickly gave way to a flurry of reactions. Some patrons erupted into spontaneous applause, their faces beaming with admiration and newfound respect. Others remained speechless, their minds reeling, processing the implications of Clara's quiet announcement. A few, particularly those who had been subtly condescending in the past, visibly flushed, their expressions a mixture of embarrassment and regret. The young artist was the first to break the stunned silence, rushing forward to embrace Clara. "Clara, that's incredible," she exclaimed, her voice filled with genuine admiration. "I knew there was something special about you. This is amazing." Her enthusiasm sparked a chain reaction. Patrons surged forward, offering congratulations, handshakes, and heartfelt words of appreciation. Mr. Henderson approached Clara, his eyes filled with warmth and pride. "Clara, my dear," he said, taking her hand in his, "I knew it. I always knew there was something extraordinary about you. This is wonderful news, truly wonderful." He squeezed her hand, his silent support a powerful affirmation. The businessman, who had so casually inquired about the owner earlier, approached Clara with a contrite expression. "Ms. Clara," he stammered, I am so incredibly sorry for my assumptions. This is truly inspiring. Ebony Brews is a testament to your vision and your hard work." He extended his hand, and Clara accepted it with a gracious smile, the moment of awkwardness melting away in the warmth of genuine recognition. As the initial flurry subsided, a different kind of atmosphere settled over the cafe. The celebratory cheer remained, but it was now infused with a deeper layer of respect and understanding. Patrons looked at Clara with new eyes, seeing her not just as a skilled barista, but as a visionary entrepreneur, a woman of quiet strength and unwavering determination who had built this haven from the ground up. The subtle biases that had often clouded their perceptions began to dissipate, replaced by a clear and unadulterated appreciation for her accomplishments. Clara, standing amidst the outpouring of support, felt a profound sense of relief and quiet triumph. The weight of the unspoken secret had lifted, replaced by a lightness and a sense of liberation. She had stepped into her full truth, and in doing so, had transformed not only her own perception within the community, but also the very atmosphere of Ebony Brews. The revelation was more than just an announcement of ownership. It was a quiet revolution, a dismantling of preconceived notions, and a powerful affirmation of her worth, her vision, and her undeniable impact on the hearts and minds of those who had come to cherish Ebony Brews. The rest of the anniversary evening unfolded with a renewed sense of warmth and connection. The jazz trio resumed playing, their music now imbued with an even more celebratory spirit. Conversations buzzed with excitement, punctuated by toasts to Clara, to Ebony Brews, and to the future. The revelation of Clara's ownership had not only surprised and delighted the patrons, but it had also deepened their sense of community and belonging within the cafe. In the days and weeks that followed, Ebony Brews felt subtly different. The Sakon atmosphere was even more welcoming, the interactions between patrons and Clara infused with a new level of respect and genuine camaraderie. The microaggressions, the dismissive gestures, the subtle condescension, they seemed to vanish, replaced by a conscious awareness and a deeper appreciation for Clara and her creation. Patrons began to see Ebony Brews not just as a place to grab a coffee, but as a space built on passion, resilience, and a quiet defiance of prejudice. They told their friends about Clara's story, sharing the inspiring tale of the unassuming barista who was, in fact, the visionary owner behind their beloved cafe. Ebony Brews became a symbol, a testament to the power of dreams, the importance of community, and the quiet strength of those who persevere in the face of subtle biases. Clara, while still maintaining her humble demeanor, moved with a newfound sense of freedom and confidence. She continued to serve coffee with her usual warmth and efficiency, but there was now an unspoken understanding, a shared acknowledgement of her true role in the heart of Ebony Brews. She was no longer just Clara the barista. She was Clara, the owner, the visionary, the heart and soul of the oasis in the city. The anniversary celebration had been more than just a milestone. It was a catalyst for transformation. It had strengthened the bonds of community within Ebony Brews, deepened the appreciation for Clara's contributions, and subtly shifted the perceptions of those who had unknowingly harbored biases. Ebony Brews continued to be a place for exceptional coffee and serene ambiance, but it was now also a place where quiet strength was celebrated, where resilience was admired, and where the true essence of community, brewed with sincerity, passion, and a touch of mystery, thrived in the heart of the city. And Clara, at the center of it all, continued to pour not just coffee, but her heart and soul into every cup, nurturing a community that was now even more vibrant, more inclusive, and more deeply connected than ever before.